Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Let's Taste with the Intrepid Wino. My name is James Scaresbrook and I'm really excited to finally get around to tasting some samples that have been sent on behalf of Tahbilk Winery, who are based in Nagambie Lakes in Victoria. I have previously looked at some Tahbilk wines here on Let's Taste, and I also interviewed Alistair Purbrick, owner and CEO of Tahbilk, on my podcast, The Vincast. I thoroughly recommend checking that episode out. Tahbilk is an extremely important historic wine producer, and they produce a range of very consistent quality wines. So on this edition, we're looking at 3 red wines, all from the 2016 vintage, probably all about the same recommended retail price. So without further ado, let's start off looking at the 2016 Tahbilk Grenache Shiraz Mouvedre, recommended retail $25.70. Tahbilk, amongst other things, have been working extremely hard to approach carbon neutrality. So very much an environmental focus. Grenache Shiraz Mouvedre, as I would have mentioned on previous editions, where I've looked at the same blend. This is a blend that is characteristic of the Southern Rhone Valley in France, as well as parts of the south of France. And you also find it commonly in warmer regions, in certainly slightly more historic wine-producing regions, like Barossa Valley, McLaren Vale. So I'm not sure if I've tasted this wine before, possibly. Let's see what it's like. Very textbook, red fruits, raspberry, red skins, a little bit spicy, a little bit meaty. What's wrong, Milky? Nice and aromatic. Let's taste. Reasonably light, reasonably good presence on the palate, a little bit of oak character there, a little bit of kind of sweet tannin, possibly from the wood. Good fruit tannins. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think this one I probably would suggest purchasing on special, which you probably will find it. Yeah, solid, but I've seen better examples of the blend. Second wine is the 2016 Tahbilk Shiraz, also recommended retail price of $25.70 Australian. Shiraz is a very important variety for Tahbilk, considering they have some of the oldest vines in the world of Shiraz on their 1860s planted vineyard. Deeper, darker fruited, moving from red into purple, reasonably earthy, but like a sweet earthy, slight kind of carob, cocoa character, a little bit meaty as well. Let's taste. Solid on the mid palate, good fruit, not too explosive or powerful. It's a little bit flat on the back. I'm somewhat underwhelmed with that one. I need to have a look back on my previous vintage tastings, because I come to expect a little bit more from Tahbilk Shiraz, and I think that's a little bit underwhelming. The third and final wine is same vintage, 2016 Tahbilk Cabernet Sauvignon, also recommended a retail of $25.70. These are all the same price, as I probably mentioned. A lot more subdued on the nose. Very subtle. Very subtle, very slight, stalky sort of character. It doesn't really present as particularly classic in terms of varietal character. It's a little bit simple on the nose. Let's taste. Nice and fresh. Just a decent amount of tannin, but nothing too heavy. Again, it's just a little bit flat on the back. For 25 bucks, I really do expect a little bit more, and certainly the Cabernet and the Shiraz are really not hitting the mark for me there. They're very solid red wines. As I mentioned, they're very consistent producers of wine here in Australia, but it's not blowing me away. I think the GSM is probably the only one that's of any interest, whereas the Shiraz and Cabernet are very serviceable, but I don't think they're doing Tahbilk a service, and they're certainly not doing the varieties a service. So apologies, but yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with today's tasting. But in any case, thank you to Tahbilk for generously donating some samples to the cause. I always appreciate the opportunity to open some Australian and New Zealand wines here on the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel to share my impressions. If you would like to have your wines profiled here on Let's Taste, please do get in contact with me via my website, intrepidwino.com. There's lots of different content there, as well as different ways of getting in contact with me, and I'd love to hear from you there. You can follow me on social media at Intrepid Wino on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and you can also subscribe to the Intrepid Wino YouTube channel. Leave a comment if you liked this video, hit the like button, share it on social media. Subscribing really helps me out, and I love hearing from people, so make a comment below. Tell me when you've been impressed or similarly disappointed with an experience with a wine producer that I might share here on Let's Taste. But guys, until next time, cheers.